Around the world, stock markets responded positively here. The FTSE 100 gained more than 4%. Markets in Europe and America have also risen sharply. The summit has raised hopes around the world. Our correspondents assess the mood tonight in Europe, in China and the United States. First to Matthew Price in New York.
Yes, the markets here on Wall Street have closed up significantly this evening, though that also has quite a lot to do with some good economic data out here today. The US, of course, has been blamed by many for having precipitated this global economic crisis, and traders have been encouraged by the fact that the G20 decided not to take any punitive action against the United States. It's also interesting to note that the US did today sign up to greater regulation of financial institutions, though after decades of free market capitalism, that's not going to go down well with everyone here.
Here in France, President Sarkozy will return home, claiming victory over a certain sort of Anglo-Saxon economics. He needs a triumph because he's deeply unpopular, widely portrayed as the best friend of rich bankers, and this in a country that regards the recession as stamped made in the USA, the result of a certain sort of very uncontinental capitalism. The extra money for the IMF may also help Europe wake from its next worst nightmare, that banks in Eastern Europe will collapse, dragging everybody else further down with them.
Tonight in Beijing, people here will ask one question. Will the summit's agreements make the world start spending again? China has risen in recent years because it sells things to the rest of the world. So in order to keep going, this country needs the world to start buying again right now. At the same time, the summit has shown that the rest of the world may depend on China, its growth and its reserves of cash in order to end the financial crisis.
James Reynolds. Well, in a moment we'll be talking to our political editor Nick Robinson, but first our economics editor Stephanie Flanders is at the Excel Centre in East London where the summit actually took place. Gordon Brown, Stephanie, called it a new era. Obama called it historic. What's your judgment?
Look, I think you have to say it's historic, especially with this cast of characters. I've been to quite a few summits and there's more here than any I can remember. Of course, it's not going to fix the global economy overnight. Of course, there are promises that turn out to be a bit less airtight than it first appeared, numbers that turn out to be a bit smaller than you first thought. And there are big problems that governments need to solve in order to get the economy moving again, particularly this problem of bad assets sitting on bank balance sheets. How do you get rid of those? How do you get credit moving again? That's all true, but there are steps here that will make it a bit more likely that the global economy will recover, and we shouldn't be in any doubt, George, that's the most important thing for all of us. If the global economy doesn't recover in the next year or so, there's very little chance that ours will.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Over to you, Nick, in Downing Street. This is definitely his summit. He was man of the moment, but will this translate into political capital for Gordon Brown?
Well, I've no doubt that when he goes to bed tonight here, he'll be extraordinarily tired, but also extraordinarily pleased. It really is a coup for him that this summit was held at this time in this country and that it's been a success. And what's more, there's no doubt that presidents from Sarkozy all the way to President Obama have lavish praise on Gordon Brown for the way he chaired this summit. On the other hand, I compared his speech at the end of it with a budget speech, those he used to give as Chancellor. And I always say at the end of budget days, that is not the right day to judge them. If the global economy does start to turn around, no doubt people will look at this day and they'll say, that's the day that Gordon Brown began to recover. If it doesn't and people carry on losing their jobs and their homes, they'll probably look at today and say, do you remember the day that Michelle and Barack Obama came to town?
Nick, thank you. Well, one of the biggest policing